Yo, what's up, guys? MMA Dynasty back with another episode. Leon Edwards defeated Kamaru Usman. Jacob, I'm guessing you agree. We think that Usman should retire.
Yeah,
And we're gonna get into that right now. Kamaru Usman got shut down by Leon Edwards. I think he can still get some wins in the welterweight division, but I just don't think he'll ever be a champion again. He's 35. His knees are fucked. Leon Edwards seems to have his number at this point in his career. And, they're going to give him tough matchups like a Shavkat. Even if he beats a Bilal Muhammad and gets a title shot again, Bilal Muhammad's probably, think about it like this. If Shavkat beats Bilal, he's getting a next title shot. And
Mm.
Usman, if he beats Bilal after that, he'll have to fight Shavkat. I just think he should retire. Jacob, what do you think?
yeah. I mean, I think he should either retire or move up. You know, because now that Adesanya is not champion, maybe a change in division could at least maybe middleweight division's a bit worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving up, he may be a bit quicker, and it could
Not many
help.
middleweights can wrestle either.
Not many middleweights could wrestle. You can put him against a number five, Dricus Duplessis. You can get a
I
win
just
there.
completely think that is I think that people are putting this matchup together because of the whole Africa
Yeah,
thing. But like, to be honest, I have to say, Dricus Duplessis does not deserve a Kamaru fight, and he will not get it because Dricus Duplessis, he's still a win or two away from a title shot. It's like Kamaru Usman moves up, he's gonna fight in a number one contenders match at the very least, and that's just not Dricus. So I feel like Whitaker would be a matchup for him.
but I just think he gets smoked by Whitaker,
Oh,
honestly.
I agree, but
You
I
know, I mean,
can you really see him fighting Dricus, no name Duplessis? I
I
don't
mean,
see it.
I just think that maybe a change in scenery could be better for him though overall. So maybe Marv Vittori, number four.
That's a different fight.
I don't
Marvin for
know.
me is a guy that is but I just think, listen, Usman is such a big name from his resume. Obviously he's not a star, that big of a star.
Mm,
But in the middleweight division, like they're not going to give Usman anything less than a number one contenders fight. And Marvin doesn't have that.
yeah,
Dricus doesn't have that. Whitaker's the only guy. Chimaev maybe. Chimaev and Whitaker 180, Chimaev and,
yeah,
and Usman 185. But I think he should move up if anything because middleweights are shittier
yeah.
and he could still do all right in that division.
Because who does he fight at 170 though? I mean, Shavkat's fighting Bilal. He'd have to fight like a guy like who would he fight? He'd have
Like
to
the
fight
loser, I guess. The
Burns.
loser of that.
Yeah, or the loser. But like, what does that really do? He's not going to get him a title shot either. You know what I mean? I went over one of those guys who loses. It won't bring them a title shot though either way. So I just think like you got to win. Excuse me. You get a win at middleweight and the guy in the top five, you're right there. You know what I mean? And I think it could be kind of refreshing, just a change in scenery. But like, I don't really think he feels like he needs to fight for the title. Like, I don't think he really thinks he needs a number one contenders fight yet. Usman strikes me as one of the guys who is willing to win like two fights to fight for a belt. I think he's a hard worker, even though he's been successful. Um, and I just think a change in scenery can really be refreshing for him. So I like him moving to middleweight. I like him fighting someone in the top five, Vittori, Duplessis.
I think he beats
And
these guys
here,
fairly easily.
I don't know if he beats Marvin, honestly.
What is Marvin going to do to
I
Usman?
just don't think Usman's the best striker at all. I mean,
You dude, let's be honest. Middleweights, they look even amongst themselves, but Kamaru Usman is fighting Leon Edwards. Like Leon Edwards is a guy that would shit all over Marvin Vettori. And
yeah, but
I'm just gonna say it. I think Usman clearly and decisively would beat a Marvin Vettori just by keeping him at his jab. And I mean, let's be real, Marvin Vettori, I mean, he
he
looked
looked
like
bad.
shit against
He
Roman. And I
lost.
actually think he won that fight. I
Really?
said that Roman got it, but I looked at the stats and I'm just like, yeah, maybe I was just wrong about it. But let's be real. Like, the only guys that destroy Usman in that division are maybe like the top three.
Whitaker, Adesanya, Pereira.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all those guys beat him. So yeah, I mean, I why not take one of those fights though? You'll get a win. You can get some momentum back, because he kind of needs a win at this point, right? Because we see the guys who also start losing, like they keep going against these killers, and it's just
Yeah.
like they end up like losing five straight and just having to lead the UFC. You know what I mean? Like Tyron Woodley, um, who else? Tony Ferguson,
Yeah.
guys like that. Like instead of maybe taking a tune-up fight or something, or like a way lesser opponent to just get a win, get some confidence back. They just keep taking these tough fights, and
It's
maybe
bad.
he should avoid that. You know what I mean? If he
Yeah.
does, I think he should avoid that if he doesn't want to continue his career. But yeah, and because I just don't see him doing well against one of these young killers. You know what I mean?
I
So
just feel like at this point, Usman's talking about is not being able to walk downstairs.
yeah, he
Just
should
got, let's be
retire.
real. This is the most like people don't really kick Usman's legs that often. Of course, we've seen him get a couple leg kicks here and there, but like the damage Leon Edwards did to Usman's legs in that fight was like, I'd be willing to bet Leon Edwards landed more kicks in that fight than Usman's last 5 opponents
Yeah,
combined.
probably.
And I'm just trying to say, like, you know, you have a daughter. I know he's not taking that much brain damage in this fight, but like, what is the point? You're just gonna put yourself into a deeper hole. You're gonna be miserable when you're older. You know, I know he wants to go out on a win. He wants to show his daughter. He was talking about how he wants to show his daughter that he can bounce back after a loss, and that's an important life lesson and all that. But like, I don't know. If I was him, I would get a win and get out of there, and fight a guy that's not going to kick your legs. Fight a guy in
That's,
middleweight. That's what I think. I think he should
that's
retire, to be honest. But
I think he should retire, but it doesn't seem like he wants to do that. So I
he's
think
got a
he
competitor's mentality. Yeah.
fight Duplessis, maybe get a win. You don't need to cut much weight. And then you can retire, or you could just keep moving up the rankings and potentially fight for a title. But it's like I don't know if he beats anybody in the top 5 right now in the welterweight division, just with the way he looked the other night. So he looked bad. He looks very tentative, his yeah, I just think that was the biggest thing. He just looked very tentative. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, and you just can't be like that scared when you're fighting. You know what I mean? You just can't.
Yeah.
He just seemed very gun shy. So
He's
I
not
think
at this point. It's safe to say that he's just like, if
he shelved
anything, he's
himself.
starting to dip a little bit.
Oh, dip a little. He's dipped a lot. You know what I mean? I think he's a shell of himself. Like, just the
Not a
difference.
complete show. I mean, the thing is, Edwards shut him down. Like,
But at the
Edwards was
same time,
was
he was
beautiful
just
in
so
that fight.
gun shy though. Like in his
Yeah,
last
true.
fights, like he was just way more aggressive.
No,
And
that is true.
I don't think that has I think that has to do with him being scared of getting knocked out again, honestly. It has to be because like you can't even say it was the leg kicks at first because the first round he was so not aggressive, and you thought like we'd think that it was like Usman first round, he's gonna want to make a statement. You know what I mean? Because like he just got knocked out. Maybe he's gonna come out hot, you know what I mean? Like just show that that knockout hasn't affected him and stuff. But no, like first round, I knew that this was a shell of Usman straight up. And with those takedowns, I think that partly had to do with the leg kicks. Why his takedowns weren't as good. But
But
I
another
just
reason
like,
is every time Usman would try to close the distance, Edwards, unlike all of Usman's other opponents, instead of trying to counter, instead of trying to throw back, Usman dominates everyone against the fence, and that's what Colby tries to do too. Edwards, like, just would never let Usman pressure him because what he would do is he'd wait for Usman to throw and he'd dip off to the side. And he did that like 10 times in the fight. So that leaves Usman in the center of the cage with Edwards. And you can't close the distance with Edwards in the center of the cage because he's just lightning fast with his kicks. I think that it's just that Edwards made a beautiful adjustment, to be honest. And I really don't know if it's just Usman being old. I saw Leon Edwards make a perfect adjustment. Like, think about it like this. Kamaru Usman does not have success in the center of the cage with Edwards. He didn't have a lot of success in their last fight. Sure, he was a little more gun shy, but he dominated Edwards against the cage last time. He just did. That's where he had a success. He was teeing off on Edwards. The reason why he had none of those moments in this one is because Leon Edwards did not at all give him an ability to do anything against the cage. And that to me was why he got dominated. I just felt like that was a skill thing more than a Usman looking old. But yes, Usman was like chucking a lot of jabs at Edwards in the rematch, and he didn't do it in the center of the cage. So I think it's a little bit of both. But I have to give Kamaru Usman the benefit of the doubt that he's still like not completely washed out. It's just I feel like Edwards is just that guy. I mean, think about it like this: Leon Edwards, compare him to every single one of Kamaru's opponents, Colby's opponents. He's just so well-rounded and such a smart fighter. He could fight at range. He's tall. He's big. Usman's used to fighting short, welterweights, former lightweights, guys that are trading in the boxing range, that aren't fast, that aren't going to kick his legs. And
Colby,
now he's
who's like
fighting a
small
six
for
foot
his size.
two shredded, like athletic guy that could stuff takedowns, submit him, and also stay at range. And I feel like we've never seen that
He
until
just got
now.
exposed.
I think he got exposed by Edwards' style. I feel like Kamaru Usman goes in there against Bilal Muhammad on that night. Yes, this loss may have fucked his knees up and that'll make him worse in the future. But let's say it was Usman and Bilal. Usman would kill Bilal. Let's say it's Usman Covington 3. It would be a close fight. I'm not going to lie. But Usman still beats, in my opinion, like
I just think he was scared of.
most guys.
I think just the fact that Leon has knocked him out before really was in his head. So
Definitely. That
maybe
was
it
part of it.
wouldn't. So maybe it wouldn't happen against these other guys who he
Yeah.
hasn't gotten knocked out from. So maybe it was that.
Yeah.
Honestly, no, maybe it was just that it was Leon. It's like the
Right.
thought of just having gotten knocked out by that guy may have scared him. And we saw the body kicks were open all night.
Yep.
So he was. I think Usman also looked tired too. I think he was starting to look tired. I think those body kicks were wearing on him. I think those calf kicks were wearing on him. Leon had a perfect game plan for Usman. I just think nobody in the past, I mean, maybe his opponents were just not good enough or not complete enough. But I think Usman, like Leon, like just had the perfect game plan completely
Yeah.
too. Like that was
Destroyed
the
his
genius.
legs, bro.
Destroy the knees, destroy the legs, go for the body. It's gonna be wide
Yeah.
open since he's fearing the head kick
Yeah.
and just tire him out. Like I'm telling you, keep whipping those body kicks over and over again, gasses you out like completely. So I think yeah, and even that one in the first round, like a lot of people would have got finished in that with that liver kick in the first round. Remember Usman fell down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lot of people would have gotten finished. That just shows that how tough Usman is, though.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
right after that sequence, Usman tried to pressure him up against the cage, and Edwards just fucking ran off to the side and back to the center like that. He kept doing that, man. And it was such a beautiful thing to see. So, what do you think happens against Colby? What's your early prediction? Because I am going to put out a video today, and I actually I think Colby's a better pure grappler once he gets his hands on people, and he doesn't have the thing where he just got KO'd. He's taking time off, but he's 35. Leon's 31. Think about the confidence that Leon has after not only beating Usman once after losing the majority of the fight, but now shutting him down. I feel like he's going to go out there and do the same thing to Colby. I really do.
shut him down.
I think he's going to shut him down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting matchup. Colby's pace is definitely a lot higher than Usman.
Mhm.
I think that Leon does still have some gas out concerns to
Yeah.
me. But at the same time, if Colby struggles to take him down, I see it being very tough for him. You know what I mean? And he could struggle to take him down. I think Usman's the better wrestler.
He's
Colby,
stronger too. It's another
Usman's a
thing.
lot stronger. Colby's works harder on it, which is
Yeah.
tiring
Yeah.
to the opponents.
Definitely.
And when Colby gets you down, I think it's a little bit worse than when Usman gets you down. Usman's more of a controlling. He controls his opponents on the ground. Colby is working. You know what I mean? Like he may not be throwing crazy ground and pound, may not be going for crazy submissions, but he's working. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I think that's
He's a better jujitsu guy, even though he doesn't submit
yeah.
people.
I
He's
mean, I
better
don't
on the
think he's
top.
amazing at
Yeah.
jujitsu, and I don't think he's got great ground and pound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think he's doing more. You know what I mean? He's presenting more problems when you're on the ground with him. So I think that is something to consider. But again, he just has nowhere near the power of Usman.
Or the reach.
Or
Like
the
Usman had a
reach.
reach
Like,
advantage over Edwards too.
what if Colby's got some T-Rex arms a little bit? Not like
Yeah.
crazy, but he definitely has some sort of
Yeah.
T-Rex
And
arms.
he's like slow twitch too. Usman
Yeah,
is
I mean,
kind of
I
quicker
think
twitch, you
I
know?
think Colby has quick hands. I disagree with that. I think Colby's pretty quick, but I just think he doesn't. He sometimes winds up like an idiot though, like just like Usman, but like a little bit more obvious. You know what I mean?
He's higher output, I'll give him that. But again, like
Yeah, but
what's to
Edwards
stop
can also
Edwards from
keep
just
him at range. What if
exactly,
Edwards just
yeah.
keeps him at range? What if he destroys his legs? What if he goes with the body kicks? Like, what if he goes with some head kicks? Like, I think those kicks are just Leon's best best part of his game, and I think like I think his signature move should from now on be the head kick. You know what I
You
mean?
know,
Like,
one thing I was surprised, like I didn't see any front kicks to the face. And I feel like
I don't
every
think
time
that's just
Leon
I don't
throws a
think
front
that's
kick to the
Leon's
body,
style. I don't
I
really
feel
think
like he
that's
could have landed it on Usman. He landed every front kick to the body. It's so fast and it seems really powerful. Why not just, bring it a little higher to these
yeah,
guys?
I don't know. I don't know either. I didn't think about that till now, but I think with Colby, I think he is hittable. I do have to say. I'm just trying to compare him to like Usman. You know what I mean?
He
I
gets
think
dropped.
Leon could maybe keep him at range, chop his legs, chop his body, go for some head kicks. I think and on the and boxing wise, he's way better than Colby. I think he pieces him up on I honestly think he finishes Colby.
Same.
I think he
I
finishes
think
him in
it's
the
more
first
of a
three
threat for
rounds.
Colby to like steal later rounds compared to Usman. But
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
bro. Still,
I
like I
think he
really think
finishes.
he's
I
gonna
think
get
he
finished.
finished. I feel like I kind of want to say Colby's a bit more tough opponent for him, but that could just be because like we just saw it Sunday or Saturday night,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
because like
exactly.
Usman looked so bad.
And he got
You know what I
KO'd
mean?
before that too. So
Yeah, so
like,
like I guess going into the first fight, like Usman obviously seemed like a harder opponent for Leon,
yeah,
but Colby, I don't know. It still seems tough. I mean, it is a hard fight for Leon. It really is. But any of these guys besides Bilal would have been a really hard fight for Leon. So it's kind of like like you're kind of getting the worst out of those guys between Shavkat, Chimaev, other than Bilal.
has
Burns,
Colby ever fought someone that was tall? Not that I remember.
no, not that I
Yeah,
remember.
he's
That can
used to
really
fighting
cost
old
him up.
men, washed up like 5'10" guys, and
He also is
also
gonna have some ring rust.
yeah,
He will. He hasn't. It's gonna be a year and a half, pretty much. By the time he comes back, he's gonna have some ring rust. Leon just starts going. It's just the pressure is kind of what scares me. You know what I mean? Like I think Leon's the pace could really fuck with Leon. Because Usman isn't this guy who's has this crazy pace. He could have some good pace, but he's willing to kind of like slow the fight down a little bit. And I think that and Leon was kind of still. I mean, that was also the altitude, but I think yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen Leon go against a guy with such a crazy pace. But again, I haven't seen Colby go against like a striker like this. You know what I mean? Or like a complete fighter like this who's young and like yeah, who's in their prime. Like when has Colby fought someone who was in their prime? Like never.
exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, besides
Except
Usman,
for
and
Usman, yeah,
he
that's
lost
it
twice
though.
against Usman. You know what I mean?
RDA was not too old, but and it was a close
He
fight,
was
very
also
close
RDA
fight.
was a 55 or like RDA was
Yeah,
more
yeah,
of a
exactly.
55er to me. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he was like 70 was his real division. You know what I mean? I think he was too small. But yeah, I think
Also, I think they're going to do it in the UK because remember, I think they're going to the UK twice. It's summers as well, so they
I don't know
might
if
do
for a
this in the
pay. I thought
UK.
they were doing going for a fight night.
A fight night.
Mm.
Colby and
No,
Leon.
I thought that I
Oh,
heard
yeah,
that
yeah,
they were
okay,
going
I
to
see
go
what
to.
you're saying.
I
Maybe,
thought I
yeah.
heard that they were going to go to UK again in the
But
summer.
why not just make it a pay-per-view, you know?
You could. I mean, that obviously costs more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to get a bigger arena and stuff.
But I think listen, like if they put Aspinall and Patty on it,
Yeah, that
bigger
does
bigger
numbers for
pay-per-view.
sure. That does
Yeah.
numbers for sure. It obviously costs a lot more to do a pay per view, but yeah, I don't know if I'm that excited for this matchup to be honest. I just really don't like that Colby got a title shot because I just think
Same.
he's so undeserving. Do you think there's more to it though? Like, do you think
I feel like
something behind the scenes happened?
once it gets closer, we'll be more excited. And would you mean like Masvidal? Is that what you're talking about? Like
Yeah, do you
Colby
think
getting a
like
title
something?
shot to
Yeah, you
get?
think something happened behind the scenes, or
I mean, probably. Let's be real. Like, yeah,
I honestly don't. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I also think that the like what happened, what could have happened was I think like the whole situation is calms out. I think what's happening is I think the UFC aren't willing to let him fight for the bout at 170 because he like if he goes out if they book the fight, he misses weight and would probably still win. Like that looks horrible for the division because then he has to move up no matter what. And it'll just be known that like Chimaev just is the real champion. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I think that just looks horrible for the division. So I think that's why Chimaev is no longer going to be fighting in the welterweight division. So I guess
yeah,
it's kind of like Colby or Bilal at the end of the day. And Bilal just does no numbers. So I think that's
yeah. They
kind
don't want
of
Bilal, and also
yeah.
Shavkat. It's like he still
Shavkat's not
needs,
ready yet.
and that's fight's not even booked. Shavkat and Bilal. You know what I mean? So it's like either Hamzat or Colby. They probably go with Colby. I think it's such a big mistake for Hamzat because if Hamzat just
I
never
just don't
fucked
think he
around with
can
the
make weight
85
anymore,
move,
honestly.
I think that's such bullshit. He's made weight every single time before the Diaz fight. Why
He
can't he just make one
struggled
last
though.
push?
I also think what could have happened was they could have did a test weigh in. You know what I mean? They could have
Yeah.
tested it and he could have just was like, yeah, I'm not making this weight anymore. But
And
I think
he better be destroying these middleweights. That's what I'm gonna
oh
say.
yeah, he has to be because this guy has some crazy potential, and I think the UFC kind of wasted him a bit.
He's gonna be a middleweight champ, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I just think that it's a shame because I think he really could have been double champ. But again, maybe if he just couldn't make the weight, like he just couldn't. So but again, maybe he could have. It just he may have had a bad outing against Diaz, and the UFC just is like kind of screwing him over, for
Mhm.
that still. So yeah, it kind of sucks because I think he would smoke Leon. I
Yeah,
think
I
he
agree.
I
I
think he
think he
would
submits him
dominate
in
him.
one.
Yeah, I think he would submit him in one for sure. I think he's too strong. But Colby's weak, you know what I mean? Like kind of like he's I mean he's not weak, but he's not like super strong for that division, I think.
35.
Leon can maybe stuff some takedowns, honestly.
Oh,
I think he
he
could,
most certainly can.
Yeah.
100%.
And he's obviously more dangerous than Masvidal, who I know that Colby smoked him, but Masvidal had his moments still in that fight.
Yeah,
He did have his
dropped him.
moments, and I think
Masvidal gasses too.
yeah,
Hard.
Masvidal get gases.
He has one round in him against these wrestlers.
I think Leon is way more dangerous than Masvidal. So I mean, maybe I would pick him to finish him within 3 rounds. But again, I could also see Colby winning. I mean, I could see Colby putting on a crazy pace and just drowning him as the fight goes on. I mean, I can also
I
see
just
that.
feel like, Edwards is on an 11 fight win streak. Like we
Mhm.
rarely see that in the welterweight division. And I really think he's
Full
just
fight now.
a next level guy. And I think prime Colby definitely issues, but this guy is like,
Shelved
I don't know,
himself
man.
down.
He's fucking wasted his prime. Like he's really wasted his prime.
Yeah, and I rewatched that Masvidal fight again, and he wasn't as impressive as I remembered. Like
Yeah.
he was winning these rounds, but like Masvidal was cut him up. You know what I mean? He
Yep.
dropped
Yep.
him. Like he didn't like on the ground. He wasn't doing as much as I remembered. Like
He's definitely not finishing Edwards. That's
no,
100%
no,
for
oh
sure.
no way, no way. He's not
He just
finishing
has to
Edwards.
bank on 3 rounds. And I
Yeah,
just feel
but
like
at the
Edwards is
same
too
time,
good
though,
to lose
yeah.
3 rounds
Also,
against Colby
Leon. There's going to be so many opportunities for him to finish him too.
and submit him maybe. Maybe he
Yeah, I
drops him
mean,
and submits him, chokes him out.
submitting him. But I think yeah, I got Leon. I think I think Leon's for real. He's on a 12 fight win streak. He when you become champ, you get a bit more confident. You know what I mean? You're going to the gym feeling good. Um, some guys obviously they it goes the wrong way. They get less motivated. But I strike Leon. Leon strikes me as someone who just gains more confidence from it. You know what I mean? Kind of like what happened with Usman.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to continue seeing Leon evolving. I mean, this guy hasn't been wrestling for that long. You know what I mean? So he's just
Yep.
continuing getting better and better, which is scary. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
takedown defense is going to get better and better. He didn't take too much damage in that fight, so I think in a couple weeks he's going to get back to work and just continue improving his takedown defense. I think that's kind of what all he needs to do to prepare for Colby. And we don't know what Colby will see. Like, how good is Colby going to be at 35 years old, having not fought for like a year and a half? Like he could just be a lot worse. You know what I mean? So went through 2 wars with Usman. Fought in between those fights. Like he fought scrubs. So it's kind of hard to say. Also, Colby's
Right.
never beaten a guy in the top 5. So how good is he really though? So I got Leon by within the first 3 rounds by finish, by knockout probably. But I could see Colby winning too, which is unfortunate. But again, I mean, Chimaev, there's obviously something with Chimaev, not with Chimaev's a middleweight now.
Yeah.
It's 100% Chimaev's a middleweight. There's no more discussion. He's a middleweight right now. He's gonna fight either a Cannonier, or a Whitaker. So we'll see what happens with Chimaev at middleweight. It sucks, but it is what it is. And I think even if Colby does win the bout, I think Shavkat's smoking Colby completely. So
Oh yeah.
I think Shavkat beats Leon too. So I think regardless, I think Shavkat's going to be the next champ. And who knows? Maybe eventually we'll see a Shavkat versus Chimaev at middleweight for the double champ status. So
That would be sick. That would be epic, man. I really think that those guys are looking like, the future of those divisions.
Mhm.
We do have a big fight coming up this week, and a lot of people are saying that the winner of this is going to get a title shot. People are saying that Chito Vera is the future of 135. He's young. He's 30 years old. Sandhagen, to be honest, seems like an older guy, but he's still relatively young, 30. I'm starting to get worried because I watched that Chito and Dominic Cruz fight again this morning. And I have to say, Chito Vera, I still think he gets a little bit too much credit, but he really, really reminds me of Yoel Romero. Like he's just so fucking patient. He never
But
ever
he
throws. But
gasses
when he,
less though.
what's up?
He gasses less than
Yeah,
Yoel
that's
does.
another thing. He has like that's yeah. He's like a fast like good cardio bantamweight Yoel who doesn't really wrestle that much. Like he does get taken down, but just his patience, and he's so dangerous when he actually like hits people. Sure, Dominic Cruz doesn't have a good chin, but I just feel as if this guy could get his ass kicked by Sandhagen for 4 rounds and just figure out Sandhagen at the last minute, figure out a tendency, and just put him out cold. And that's what's so scary about picking a Chito fight. Who do you have winning this one? Because I feel like if Sandhagen can knock Corey out, the only guy that can beat him is Marab, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Or Aljo if Aljo
What
submits
I
him. But
see
I don't.
happening in this fight is I see Sandhagen completely schooling him the first couple rounds, even the first 4 rounds, and I see towards the end of the fifth, like sometime in the fifth round, Cheeto having a moment where he drops him and gets real close to finishing him, but Sandhagen ultimately gets the decision win. So that's kind of what I see happening. I think like you look at Cheeto's past opponents, they're all old, they're all washed, like they don't have great chins, like they don't have crazy output, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean like they like Dominic Cruz, but like he's not like hitting you with power, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that Sandhagen would hit you with. Not like Rob Font's a great boxer, but he doesn't have the power like a Sandhagen. So I think Sandhagen has the output, has the power, and has the better chin. So I don't really, but I do think that Chito does have legit power. I don't think it's just because of those old guys. So maybe I think he drops Sandhagen in the fifth round, but I think Sandhagen's able to hold on and still win the fight. I just think he's gonna be too much for a guy like Chito. I think Chito is too patient, you know what I mean? Which helps him against these old guys. But like once he fights guys who are in your face, possessing real power, and that he can't really rely on to drop. Like he's not gonna rely, like he's not gonna be able to rely on like knocking a Peter Yan down. Like, I feel like Corey Sandhagen's kind of. I mean, Yan definitely has a better chin, but Sandhagen's still young, still has a good chin. You know what I mean? He took some big shots from Song Yadong, so I don't think he can really like rely on getting that knockdown towards the end of the round. So I think the output for Sandhagen will just be too much. Chito gets hit a lot, like I know he's very tough. I know he gets hit a lot in the top of the head, but nonetheless, he's still getting hit, which is not good no matter what. And I think Sandhagen's going to hit him a ton. I think he's going to completely school him for the first 3-4 rounds. And I think in the fifth round, Cheeto will have a moment, but I don't think it'll be enough to get the finish. And then Sandhagen will get the decision win 4-1. But how do you see the fight going?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting fight. I see it playing out very similarly. I think that Cheeto is a very slow starter. He gets hit a lot. Sandhagen, I'm going to rewatch this fight with Song Yadong, but the stats don't tell the story. Sandhagen outstruck Song Yadong based on stats pretty clearly every single round, but Song Yadong was landing the bigger, more damaging shots early on, and it really seemed like it was 2-2 going into the fifth. Of course, the doctor stepped in and stopped it, and Corey Sandhagen's good at slicing people open, and that's always a possibility. But if he's not going to land like a flying knee or just a stiff front kick to the jaw, like I just don't see him putting out Chito. Chito's chin is just unreal. Yeah. And I feel like if Sandhagen can't finish him, it's just so dangerous for him to go all 5 rounds. So I think that I'm going to have to rewatch that Song Yadong fight. But right now I'm going to go with Sandhagen by decision. I think Corey is a really intelligent fighter, and I trust in his ability to like basically fight really cautiously. And I think that if he's fighting cautiously, he still has the output to be able to outstrike Chito. If he doesn't get dropped, he wins the fight. The issue is maybe Chito's made some good reads on Corey. Maybe he's found a tendency, but I wouldn't bet on this fight. I'm just saying that. I think that everyone is picking Corey Sandhagen to win. That's where, a guy like Chito is worth putting your money on, actually. So
Yeah.
maybe you should
Cheeto's
bet on
always
him.
dangerous. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's always dangerous. He's
Could
always
finish
dangerous.
anybody
Exactly.
at the same time. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, like maybe his power isn't as great as we think it is, and it's just because he like beat up a bunch of old guys. You know what I mean? Like he got schooled by Aldo. You don't remember? Like I think it was like a year and a half ago. I mean, or almost 2 years at this point. He got completely schooled by Aldo, and I don't really believe that like that Cheeto's gotten a lot better since then. You know what I mean? Like I don't really believe that. I think that Aldo was just a lot better than him. And Aldo was definitely a higher level up. And then he beat a Frankie Edgar who was beating him the whole fight. Got the finish, got the very impressive finish. But like I don't know if that happens against another guy. I mean, I think that front kick's putting anyone out. But I mean, again, that's an old Frankie Edgar, and then he gets a win against Dominic Cruz. No, Rob Font, but gets beaten up, like gets hit over 200 times. Like, imagine if that Rob Font had more power. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what would have happened? And then he's getting beaten up by Dominic Cruz. Like, it's kind of close, but Cruz is edging these rounds out a bit. And then he gets the finish because Dominic Cruz is old. You know what I mean? So like, it could just be that he's knocking out guys who are past their prime. But it could also be that he just has ridiculous power and is the new Yoel Romero for bantamweight. So it's hard to bet against Chito Vera, and
Yeah.
I would not bet against him. But I do have to pick Sandhagen though.
Yeah.
I
Do you
think I
think that card is going to do well? Because I mean, it's kind of a desert. It's kind of a no man's land outside of a few fights. There are a couple good ones, but
gotta look at it.
um, yeah,
Is
it's
that the
not a very
Apex?
strong card. No, it's at a stadium.
What
It's
stadium
at a
is it at?
stadium. It's in Austin,
Oh, that's cool.
Miami
Aren't they
after.
going to Kansas City too?
Yeah, that's for the Holloway fight. That's the end of
Oh,
April.
Holly Holm co-main event. Give me a break.
Yeah, that's
Ain't
that's what I'm
land
saying.
there.
Like, let's be real. That fight's ass. That fight's dog shit.
Yeah, this
So
card's kind of trash, honestly.
it is. It is kind of trash. I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah.
But again, like, I mean, what do you
Yep.
expect from these fight nights? You know what I mean? So at least we got one really good fight. So, and then the week after, and wait, is it the week after? 2 weeks after we got
Two
Adesanya
weeks
versus.
after, I think we have a break. I don't know if wait, is there a fight night between them or no? Yeah,
Oh,
that's
there
like the
there
time the
isn't.
UFC would take a break.
There's no fight night. So you got a break for the first week of April, I believe, and then we got Adesanya versus Pereira. And it still
Yes.
shocks me that Adesanya is the favorite over Pereira. Like after losing his last three fights against the guy, having his best possible fight ever, and still getting finished. Like this guy
Yep.
is still the favorite. Like, give me a break. Like, yeah. Do you think the odds will change closer to the fight, or do you think it'll kind of stay the same?
What are the odds right now? What are the
Adesanya is
odds?
minus 155. Pereira is plus
Yeah.
140.
Also Colby's a favorite against Edwards. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I actually think that I mean, I think that those are good odds. If you want to bet on Alex Pereira, that's a good pick. I would be willing to maybe put 100 on him.
Yeah, I think Pereira wins. I'm very confident that Pereira wins. I think we continue seeing this trend where the champion. I just think these like the three kings. I think that whole generation. I think it's all done. It was first Usman, then
Yeah.
Adesanya, and then Francis. The whole situation, and I think Usman lost again. Edwards is gonna no, Adesanya is gonna lose again, and I think we're gonna see a new generation of champions. I think Aljo is also going to lose to Cejudo. So I think we're going to see a bunch of new champions, and I think this one is definitely the one I'm most confident about. I picked Kamaru Usman. My last pick for the last fight was Kamaru Usman by decision. Before that, I was picking Edwards, but then last week I decided to pick Usman. Obviously, didn't go right, but that just shows like that fight was very 50-50. It was very each guy you had a real reason to be picking them. I think in this fight, like, how can you really pick Adesanya to beat Pereira? I just don't understand what people see in that. Like,
Yeah.
you look at the fight, first round was very close. I think Pereira was winning the first round until Adesanya dropped it or wobbled him. Second round, Pereira won. Third round, Pereira was winning until he exchanged and that he tried taking Izzy down and Izzy reversed it, which was very stupid of Pereira. Pereira isn't used to grappling like that. And in the fourth round, Pereira, it's another grappling exchange, and Izzy just gassed him out, And then the fifth round, Pereira finished him. So I think Pereira is a bit more, doesn't engage in those grappling and just makes it a kickboxing fight and just finishes him within the first 2 rounds. I honestly see, I think he could, I don't know if he should go super aggressive. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the best game plan. I think he could break out Adesanya over the top, over the rounds also. So I think you see what pace Izzy does, but you are willing to blitz forward a bit and be a bit aggressive because I think that would terrify the fuck out of Izzy at this point. So I think it's going to be a third round finish. I'm thinking second or third, but I think the third round. I think uh Pereira is going to win the first round. Adesanya will have a better second round, but I think Adesanya maybe get a little bit too confident and then gets finished in the third round. So that's kind of how I see the fight going. A bit slower first round. Second round, Adesanya start doing well, and then third round, Pereira finish. How do you see this fight going?
I think that we're going to see a very similar Alex to Pereira in this fight. I think he's going to be very patient. He seems to have a good gas tank. He's going to be ready for the takedowns. And I think the mistake he made was blitzing forward on Adesanya.
Yeah,
And
first
I
round.
think that that's the last thing that he should do because a patient Alex Pereira can check your leg kicks. He
Mm,
can slowly but surely break you. And he was eventually able to set up the left hook. And I think the left hook's going to come easier this time. And
yeah,
I just feel like he shouldn't force the issue. He should fight his fight. He should be a patient killer. I mean, moving forward and blitzing Adesanya is a big mistake. That's where Adesanya does his best work. And Adesanya probably has the speed advantage. So I think a patient Pereira wins the fight. And it'll only be a matter of time before he really gets the KO and just let himself get settled into the fight. And I think that's what allows him to get it done. I'm going to pick a third round KO as well, maybe a second or third round KO. I think Izzy's not really going to have a moment where he rocks
no,
Pereira. I think they're just going to be going back and forth, and it's going to be close. That's what I think.
yeah. The reason I say maybe he should blitz forward a little earlier is I think Izzy's gonna be terrified in there. Honestly, like we saw Usman, we saw how scared, how tentative Usman was in this fight, and I know Adesanya didn't get knocked out as bad as Usman did, but at the same time, Adesanya, this is a guy who Adesanya lost to 3 times, got finished by twice. So I think we are going to see a tentative Adesanya, and I think if Pereira marches forward aggressive, I don't think Adesanya's counter. I think Adesanya's gonna be scared shitless. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I don't think it's gonna really haunt him again this time, like it did in the first round of the last fight. But again, though, if Pereira keeps it slow, if fights his fight, he does still beat Izzy. You know what I mean? He still will beat Izzy because over time, Izzy will break down. Izzy, we know, is great for his kicks, and Pereira is checking all those kicks. Like, so I mean, boxing wise, Pereira's way better at boxing than Adesanya. So I think terrible match for Adesanya. I think Pereira will get the third round finish, but at the same time, like the longer the fight goes, the worse it is for Izzy at this point. Like so, I don't think Izzy will have much. I think Izzy will try to grapple. Actually, that's what I think. I think Adesanya will go for some takedowns, will try to engage in some clinch work. I don't think it's work though. I think Pereira's gonna be preparing for that. Has been preparing for that after the last fight, and he's been working with Glover full time. And I think Adesanya's not gonna be able to take him down. Like when has Adesanya ever like been able to take people down like just by shooting? Like not really much. So other than versus Pereira. So yeah, I don't I think it's gonna be a striking battle. I think Adesanya won't be making a mistake too by trying to get into the ground too, because I think it'll gas him out a bit too. Also, since these strikers who try to wrestle, they're not used to that, so they're gonna get a bit more tired. So I think Adesanya would be making a mistake actually for that. So I think Pereira third round finish, but again, if it's late, like the longer it goes, the worse it is for Izzy. So and
I
Izzy
agree.
isn't the champ anymore, so they're not gonna give him the benefit of the doubt like they did against Whitaker. You know what I mean? So like,
They might give him the benefit of the doubt if it
will
goes
they
against
though?
Usman.
I mean, they didn't give Usman the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, but the UFC loves Izzy. They love Izzy.
They liked
They want him
Usman a
to be
lot
champ.
too.
Not as much, dude. Izzy's a much bigger star.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think, but again, like, I mean, why did he beat Whitaker? Because those leg kicks. Like, I don't think he's landing those on Pereira. So I
The
think
thing is, they really never gave Usman the benefit of the doubt. It's not like Usman's ever won a robbery.
that is true. I mean, Colby, those fights were very close.
Nah,
I
those
think
those
I think
he
he
got
beat them.
finished and then he got beat for 3 rounds
I
and
mean,
dominated in the second. He did not at all
mm,
deserve to have even a draw. Like Usman never had a controversial win. Izzy's had multiple.
Izzy, I mean, I think he lost to Whitaker the second time. I don't necessarily know if he's getting something like that again, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they'll give him that much of a benefit of the doubt again. Um, and Pereira, I mean, again, like, I just think Izzy has a lot of his success with these leg kicks and stuff and just kicks overall. And I just don't think it's going to really work with Pereira. So I think Pereira is going to absolutely school him, embarrass Izzy, knock him out cold, and just
So
send
you
these
think it's going to be a domination, a one-sided
No, I mean, I
beatdown?
said Izzy. I said Izzy will have a better second round. I think Pereira's going to win the first round. I think it's going to be a bit slow, but I think Pereira's going to get the first round. I think second round, Izzy's going to have a better round. I think it's going to be more of a swing round. Like some judges may have it Pereira, some judges may have it Izzy. And I think the third round, Adesanya is going to get caught. So, but again, like I just think that a matter of time, even if it doesn't happen in the third round, like it's going to happen at some point. You know what I mean? Like especially without the grappling success that Izzy had in the last fight. Like I think he's gonna get caught no matter what by a left hook, right hand, anything. I think Pereira's also gonna be way bigger in the cage. Izzy's best bet is just like hoping that Pereira had a bad weight cut. That's his like only best bet and just like get a knockout. That's kind of his only chance of really winning, in my opinion. So yeah, I got Alex Pereira by third round knockout. Another fight in the card that's real interesting. Gilbert Burns versus Masvidal. Who do you have winning for that? Or have you
I
not
mean,
really?
there's no way I could even come close to picking Jorge against a good grappler, a guy that's, looks like he's still in his prime. So I'm going to go with Gilbert Burns. I think he's going to knock Jorge out. I really
Knock him
do.
out?
Yeah, I think he's got him. I think it's a
Really?
really good fight for him, to be honest. I really do.
Wow. I think it's gonna be a third. I think it's gonna be a 30-27 decision. It's kind of how I see it. I'd see him just like controlling him on the ground, kind of similar to the Wonder Boy fight.
Yeah.
I see it going similar to that. And I think Burns will get a decision. But
So you
I
think Burns is going to like basically hold on for dear life, essentially?
I mean
I think
not
he
I
might,
think
I don't think he can submit Jorge. I don't think so
I don't
unless
think he's
he
gonna
unless
submit him.
he unless
I
he
think he's
drops him.
just
That's
gonna
the
like
only way I think he submits him.
beat him up a little bit, what I mean? But I think it's gonna be a lot more control,
Okay.
kind of similar to the Wonder Boy fight. But at the same time, though, is like it is an interesting fight in a way, though, because Burns has shown to be a little bit chinny,
Yeah.
and he isn't the wrestler that like an Usman is, a Colby is, you know what I mean? Like, what if he doesn't have the success taking Masvidal down? And what if it's just a striking fight? Do you think like Masvidal has a real chance of knocking him out? But at the same time, though, like you look at it, like Burns has rocked all of his opponents. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, he always rocks his opponents.
Rock
And I
Usman.
think Jorge at this point, like
He's has a
probably
way
he's
worse
probably showing
chin.
up for a paycheck.
I mean, he also has a worse chin than Chimaev and Usman. So maybe Burns rocks him too, maybe, and maybe he knocks him
But
out.
Jorge doesn't have a bad chin.
He doesn't, but
He's known for having one of the best chins.
he
Just
also got
Usman
him
was the first
finished.
guy to put him. Yeah, of course. But Burns has gotten put out multiple times. I think that the chin is
But
just
he's
like,
also old,
yeah. Jorge, he's old, and I think he's showing up for a paycheck. So I actually think Burns is going to KO him. That
damn.
threat of the takedowns there all day.
I don't know if he KOs him. I think he wins a decision. But I wouldn't be totally shocked if Masvidal won. And I think that would be very good for the UFC. Like Masvidal would be back in the top five, and we know how big of a star Masvidal is. He's got 6 more fights on his deal. After this one, it'd be 5 more fights. Maybe he can make a final push, but I don't see it. You know what I mean? And do you think if Masvidal wins, you think there's a chance that they have him fight Leon instead of Colby?
I think so. I mean,
They'd
nah,
be stupid
I
not
don't
to.
think so. I think the fans would be outraged, and I think honestly, the only way Masvidal would get it done is if he. I mean, first of all, he'd have to pull out a miracle. He wouldn't get a title shot until Leon Edwards beats Colby, and then that point, like, think
I
about it
mean,
like this.
Leon's willing to
Shavkat
take
and
some
Burns
time
fight
off.
at the end of the summer, and then after that, I feel like the timing would be fine because if Leon beats Colby, he can make a quick turnaround, and then after that, he can fight Masvidal, and then winner gets Shavkat. So I think that
I,
he would
I,
have to
I,
knock him out.
I think I think Leon would be willing to do a quick turnaround for a fight like that.
He would.
Same with Masvidal. It's funny that these guys like Colby, like Masvidal, they're guys who never fight, but like when it comes to like a title shot, suddenly they're ready in a few months. You know what I mean?
That's why the UFC is starting to become a
bullshit.
little bit of a joke. That they just, they're like, fuck the rankings. We'll give this guy. I mean, it's kind of a joke. I can't stand it. I think Bilal Muhammad much
Deserve.
more deserving. Shavkat is more deserving than Colby and Leon Edwards. I mean, Colby and Masvidal. Right now, throw Shavkat in there. He
Yeah.
is much more deserving of a title shot just based on how tough he is. He's the boogeyman. He gets He gets one more. Like, fuck Shavkat having to fight a top contender. Who the fuck is Jorge beat as a top contender? None.
Who
Jorge
is
doesn't have
Colby?
any ranked wins.
Who is Colby?
Colby, exactly. Like, Colby hasn't got a win since Jorge, and Jorge is a bum at this point. So
Jorge
I
lost
feel
three.
like, the UFC, I'm a fan of Edwards, so I'm happy that he's going to take these easy fights. But, let's be real.
They're getting these guys are
I feel
cherry
like
picking.
Shavkat and Bilal are the real guys that should get title shots.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think Bilal's
People say that in the UFC, the best fight the best. That's just not the
no,
case.
not anymore. It's becoming boxing.
Yeah, it pisses me off, honestly.
If Colby getting this title shot, it's becoming boxing straight up. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of Dan Henderson and Dan Henderson 2 and Michael versus Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
No, that kind of reminds me of that, like just someone who's just completely undeserving of a title shot and just getting it because
Instead of Yoel or something like
yeah,
that.
you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. It's stupid. UFC's becoming more like boxing. I feel bad for Bilal, truly. Bilal and Beneil Dariush kind of are a bit similar in my opinion. Like they feed them against these guys who like they're just hoping like these young and hungry guys that are just like seem like killers and
Yeah.
they continue to beat them. You know what I mean? Like Bilal, like he fought Sean Brady, who like I know we were trashing on him, but a lot of people thought this guy could be like potentially a future champion. He's 15-0.
Those people were fools.
They
I'm
were
gonna be real.
fools, but like I mean, like there was like
Anyone who looked at Sean Brady and said that guy was a future champion
yeah, I
is
mean,
literally
we
just
we called it from the
is
beginning.
a jujitsu lover.
We called it from the beginning, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
there were some people who thought Sean Brady was a real threat to that division. And it was a guy who not that many people wanted to fight. Bilal was willing to fight him. He schooled him, Vicente Luque, a guy who not a lot of people was willing to fight. Bilal beats him. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like
And Wonder Boy, that Wonder Boy
Wonder
just
Boy.
dominated Kevin Holland. And also, like, look at Beneil, man. Beneil has to go through
Cameron.
Charles Gamrot. He has to go through Tony. Who else did he beat? A couple of Scott Holtzman. Like,
But
his wins aren't that
they
amazing.
do
But, like, let's
whatever
be
it
real.
takes.
He's on a long win streak, and Justin Gaethje has to beat one guy. I mean,
Yeah,
well,
same with
actually,
Dustin Poirier.
I think Justin Gaethje is not getting a title shot next, but they are trying to set him up versus Poirier. I actually don't mind that, but
But again, you gotta give. But
dude, I actually fucking hate that actually, because what the fuck, man? We've been saying stop putting these guys against each other. Gaethje
yeah,
should be fighting Gamrot and Poirier should be fighting Sarukian. Like, that's what should happen. The
oh,
winner, like, we have to see one of those fuckers get a title shot. I can't stand it. I actually cannot stand it. It's such a joke. Like, the fans don't want to see Dustin Poirier fight Islam. We know the outcome. The fans don't want to see Gaethje fight Islam. We know the outcome. We want to see Islam fight Beneil Dariush, Arman Sarukian, Volkanovski, Charles Oliveira. Those are the fights that we want. We don't want Gaethje and Dustin Poirier to fight for a title for the rest of eternity unless those guys get like 50 fucking wins.
or unless they take some top contenders out.
Yeah, 50 wins. They have, that's what I mean. But the top contenders are only themselves. Like, Gaethje, respect for fighting Fiziev.
Gaethje fought Fiziev, so I got to give him respect for that. But
But
Poirier
Poirier's
wasn't
just
willing to
fighting
fight
fucking
Dariush.
old men, you know? I'm like, God
Yeah,
damn, dude.
Poirier is the one who I don't think is as deserving as Gaethje.
Connor, Charles, like, Charles he got a title shot there. I mean, goodness.
Yeah, and then he fought Chandler, who we all know no IQ
Chandler. I
Chandler.
mean, listen, I feel like Gagey finally did something all right, but the Chandler shit was just, what are you doing, Dustin? You're talking about a title shot after beating Chandler. I'd much
Yeah,
rather
you're
see
talking about
Islam
being in the
fight.
number one contender fight after beating Chandler. Like, come on, like,
We know we don't want to see these guys fight Islam because they get submitted in the first.
yeah, and also, I mean, Dariush, like, I just feel like the UFC is doing whatever it takes to avoid Dariush from winning the belt. You know what I mean? Like, because like this
But
guy,
that's what the fans want Dariush to get a title shot because
now they
he's a
do.
competitive fight.
Now they do, but I think like you look at the rankings, I think it was from 2016. Like Dariush was still in the top 10. And the dude is still not gotten his title shot. Like that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, that's the whole issue with this division right now in the UFC is they've done this in the past, but now it's getting out of hand. It really is. Like
they're doing
guys
whatever it
that are on
takes to
long
not
win
get these
streaks.
guys the belt. And it's just stupid because
They really think that like non-hardcore UFC fans like are fucking
cheering on
raving about
Poirier.
Justin Gaethje's next title shot. Like, dude, they don't give a fuck about Justin. They want to see Gaethje fight. Maybe they don't care if he's fighting Islam. In fact, people think Islam's boring. They don't really want to watch him fight. You should want to put Gaethje up against like different guys. Should want to put Gaethje up. The real UFC fans that are buying the pay-per-views, they want to see the fucking real matchups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like
Simple as.
Bilal Muhammad, like that, like Sean, like Benil Dariush. Those are the two guys who I kind of look at. Like it's been since 2016. Dariush it's been in the top 9. He still hasn't gotten a title shot. That's crazy to me. Like crazy. And I think the reason they don't book him that much is also because of that. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's why he doesn't fight as much, is because like nobody wants to fight him. You know what I mean? And the UFC isn't gonna like go out of their way to make those fights happen. So I think it's crazy to me. He now has to fight Charles, complete killer, and to get a title
But if he
shot.
beats Charles and he doesn't get a title shot, that's
Oh, they got
just
it, and they give it
yeah.
to like Gaethje versus like
Even
fucking.
Charles, if he beats Beneil, he should get a title shot.
Should he though?
Hell yeah, dude.
I think
Beneil
if Charles,
Dariush is a really tough matchup, and Charles was a 3-time defending champion. Like,
but I think if
two-time defending
Charles
champion.
beats Dariush, I think there's a real chance that Volkanovski moves up and fights Islam again.
I mean, listen, I'm a happy guy if Volk can get another title shot,
But
but
again,
I just think Poirier and Gaethje should not be anywhere
they should
near
just fuck off.
contention for a title shot.
They should just fuck off, honestly. But
They could keep doing their fights, but honestly, I really think the fans need to tell the UFC and let them know we don't want this. We
yeah,
don't want these guys getting title shots. Literally, I feel like the fans should make a point to flood the comments of every single UFC post that is about, Dustin Poirier next question mark. Just flood the comments and say, fuck no. We want to see real contenders get the title shot.
same with Colby too.
Like Dustin's a legend and he's a great fighter. But he's not beating, Islam, and that's not an interesting matchup. Striker versus Islam is just not interesting.
I think Dariush versus Islam is really interesting. You know what I mean? I think
That is Charles Islam. I mean, Armin Islam. Those are interesting fights.
Yeah, and same with like, it's also the Colby situation too. Like this guy Colby is 0-2 in fighting for a fucking undisputed belt, and he continues to get them after getting one win. Like that's just crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like put Shavkat, put Bilal, like I feel bad for Bilal, honestly. You know what I mean? Like this guy
I would much rather see Bilal and
Leon.
Leon, to be honest.
So would I. I mean, there's some history there a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bilal's beaten like Bilal's doesn't turn down fights. Bilal's beaten. But the mistake though is I think that there's 70 pounders should have been like the UFC. I want to do this weight cut. I want to be backup fighter. And they just didn't do that though. Like why didn't Bilal do that? Why didn't Chimaev do that? Like if Chimaev wanted to stay in welterweight, that's what he should have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, that would have been smart for him. Become backup fighter, show that you can make the weights, and then after that, like you're 100% getting the title shot. You know what I mean? Like what? Like I don't know. It's kind of stupid. That's kind of what's stupid about Chimaev. That's kind of what makes me think that he just is not making him weight anymore. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy that the UFC, like, they make so much out of these like backup fighters at this point, and it's just like even Colby Covington, like a guy who like just is the least deserving out of the top five, is just getting a title shot for just being the backup fighter. That's just crazy to me. So obviously more to it, but still, I this is a shame. It's becoming more like boxing. They only book the big names against the big names. The guys who are most deserving don't get these chances.
Yeah.
It happened kind of with Leon too. You know what I mean? It took Leon so long to get a title shot. Like
Yeah,
they weren't
people are saying like, well, Leon got a title shot after beating Diaz, but they're forgetting about the fucking 9-fight win streak.
yeah,
Like that's a lot of wins. Colby, when's the last time he had a fucking win streak going?
yeah,
Guy has one loss, one win, one loss, one win. That's how his career's been for the past 4.5 years.
yeah.
And speaking of boxing, Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, you mentioned that you think Jake Paul wins the rematch. You think he would win their next fight.
I mean, I don't know if he wins. I think there's a real chance he wins it. I think you kind of Jake said he was 70% of himself that night. I mean, you kind of have to believe him, you know what I mean? Like he took this fight for a reason. I think Jake's a smart guy. I
But why
think
would you say he's 70% of himself? That seems
that's
like
what
a
he was
big
saying. And
token
I think
excuse from Jake.
I think you kind of have to believe him, honestly. You know what I mean? Because he just did not look as good as he did against
But that's
Silva. I
also
think.
because I just feel like that's such a stretch. Jake Paul is not a guy that's had like 30 bouts to where we're like, okay, that's what Jake Paul should look like.
Yeah,
Jake
that
Paul's
is
been
true.
fighting MMA fighters. He's been fighting older men that don't have like, the same boxing ability of a guy that's been boxing. Again, the striking's different. Anderson's a better striker, but Tommy's a better boxer.
Mhm.
And I just feel like Jake looked like Jake Paul. He looks like a guy that is improving, that has shown us what he's shown us in the past. But this time he fought a guy that was a boxer. That
Mhm.
remember, Anderson throws. Anderson also is not a high output guy. Tommy Fury was very high output. I just feel like saying that Jake Paul didn't look like Jake Paul. Like, what Jake Paul have we seen that would have beat Tommy Fury? That's the thing. Like, I just feel like the guy that fought Anderson was a guy that was fighting a guy that was like a kickboxer under boxing rules.
I also think maybe Jake lands more of those big punches. You know what I mean? Like he was able to drop Tommy in the later rounds and in the
He did,
last
yeah.
round. Like I think maybe he's got more success with those big punches and sets them up better. You know what I mean? And like
Yep.
he get a knockout. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he beats Tommy Fury in a decision. I think there's no way he does that. I think his best. I think he can knock him out. I think he lands more of those bigger shots, strikes or punches in this case. And I think he could put Tom. I think he puts Tommy out. Honestly, that's kind of how I see it going. But at the same time, though, like if he can't put him out again, he's gonna lose a decision again. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a risky fight. I don't know if he should do it because I think you take a fight like we said a few weeks ago against like a boxer, you put him on the Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia card, and you get a win, then you maybe fight a KSI, like, and then maybe you fight a Tommy Fury. Like, I don't understand. If I'm Jake, I'm not taking that fight. But if Jake rematches him, I think there's a real chance he knocks him out, Tommy. And I think he lands those bigger
He did
strikes.
land the big shots last time, and he
But
dropped him once. But
he
other
didn't
than
land
that,
those
Tommy
overhand
Fury is
rights.
not a guy who has a bad chin. And
He
I
does
feel
have
like
a
maybe
bad chin
Jake
in that
Paul
chin.
doesn't hit that hard. You know what I mean? Like
Maybe he doesn't. I mean, but he was able to drop Tommy with the jab, though.
he does.
So
No, he does hit hard. What I mean is, I don't think that Jake Paul has like the wicked power that we were all seeing. He has good power, 100%, probably more power than Tommy. But he knocked out Tyron Woodley, who had gotten dropped, badly by Vicente Luque, who was old. You know what I mean? Like it's just other than that, of course, he knocked out a basketball player. And who did he knocked out Ben? But like
yeah.
uh he never knocked out Anderson. And Anderson is a guy that, has been KO'd in his past and
Mm.
has, did get dropped in that fight. He has good power and he could knock Tommy out. Definitely. But I think that his power is not like something we've not seen from a guy of his experience. Like he's definitely I don't know. I feel like Tommy, if they fight within this year, Tommy beats him. But if Jake continues to improve and fights, a boxer on the what's his name, Garcia and
And
Gervonta card. I think that's his path to beating Tommy again. I think he
then
needs to
do you
stay
fight
active.
KSI after that?
I think he could fight KSI on well, KSI, isn't he doing a tag team?
No, no, that was fake.
Oh, it was. Okay. Well then,
Yeah, he's fighting Joe Fournier in May, but they're saying that KSI's manager is saying that he sent offers to Jake Paul for May
well, Jake Paul
13th.
might turn those offers down because he thinks that that's just a bad look. Like that's the worst thing Jake Paul can do, in my opinion. Because let's
Yeah.
be real. I mean, you're fighting a guy that's not scary, that's not a legit boxer, that's not respected by boxing fans. And after losing to your first real boxer, you have to still fight boxers if you really want to get respect.
You got to get a
People would
win against the
respect Jake Paul a
boxer
lot
first.
more if he fights another real boxer after losing. They would respect him a lot more.
Yeah.
They would say at least Jake Paul went in there, and fought another guy and tried, because right now that's a loss in a lot of people's mind. That's like a thing that Jake Paul's going to get shit on for. And if it's
Hope he
just about
fights
money, you can
KSI.
do it. But other than that, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think I don't know why it has to be Tommy though. You know what I mean?
It doesn't have to be Tommy. It could be
That's what I
someone
don't
else, and then
understand.
and then Tommy. I feel like Jake Paul should fight. I think he
Like,
should fight. Yeah, I don't
like a
know.
lower opponent. Like it doesn't need to be like a huge name, in my opinion. Like, like or you maybe do a card with Logan. Like Logan's around. Apparently he's may fight Darren Till. Like, you do a main
But
event.
then he needs to take on a boxer on that card.
Yeah, you could put Jake Paul against a boxer and like it'll sell pay-per-views because Logan Paul's on the card too.
I
You
actually
know what I
think
mean?
Darren Till would maybe beat Logan, just
You
because
think
even
so?
though Darren Till's a left hand, I think that might be enough to beat Logan. Logan's never won a boxing fight.
Yeah, Logan's not
He's
good,
not
but at
very
the
good.
same time, though, it's the output. Darren Till doesn't have a lot of output in the UFC, so in boxing it'd be even worse. You know what I mean?
But maybe he would like go left for dead and just go out there swinging. And I feel like he's just, Logan Paul's never showed us. If Jake was fighting Darren, I would
Oh,
100%
of
go with Jake
course.
to
Yeah,
knock him
yeah.
out. But I mean, Logan has never showed me anything
No,
that makes me think he could beat Darren Till.
yeah, I don't know. I just
Even
don't
though
think that's
Darren Till is a
a
pathetic, striker in MMA.
I still think that's a really good fight, though. You know what I mean?
It's a
I
good fight.
want
It's
to see
not
that
like a
fight.
total washout either.
I'd want to see that fight. So I think
Damn,
Jake,
that's so sad for Darren. He used to be talked about as being like the next fucking champ.
he's just
He's
fucking out of the
fallen
UFC.
so far.
He's like 30, only 30 still. You know, but yeah, I mean, at least he's
Tony and what's his name? Darren should have done what Kevin Lee is doing. He should just take on a guy like a Tony at this point in MMA. I feel like that
who's
would
a
have been
Tony in
better.
that division.
Tony is fighting
No,
Kevin.
no, but who's a
Oh,
Tony
in that
fighter?
division. I guess what's his name? Maybe Weidman. Maybe you could rematch Weidman.
Ooh, that is a good. That I'm interested. I'd be interested in that fight, but again, it's too late now. He's
Yeah,
out of the UFC. But Tony is fighting Kevin Lee, and I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Actually, I think Kevin Lee's gonna win.
I think so too. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tony gives him a decent fight
Yeah,
because Kevin Lee couldn't even finish Diego Sanchez.
yeah, that was pretty pathetic. He also had some knee injuries, stuff like that. But back to Jake Paul. I mean, I think yeah, I think you should use Logan more. You know what I mean? Like maybe Logan just doesn't want to fight. That's completely different, but apparently he does want to fight this year. So why don't you do Jake Paul main event against someone, Logan Paul co-main event against Darren Till? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get why it has to be Tommy. Like, why does this boxer have to be Tommy? Like, why can't he avenge his loss in a couple of years? Or in like the next like year and a half. Like, why does it have to be right now? Like, why does it have to be next? Like, you know what I mean? I think he's making a mistake by making it next. He's gonna go emotional. I think he's gonna he yeah, I think he's gonna go in emotional. I think Tommy's gonna be more confident. I don't think Jake's gonna be able to improve that much in like the short, like in a couple months, you know what I mean? Because I think he needs more improvements to fight Tommy again. But I
Yeah.
think if yeah, I mean I think Jake could knock him out, but it'd be hard to pick him to win if it's in the next couple months. But if it's in like a year and a half, I'd probably pick Jake to win because
Mhm.
Tommy's been boxing since a young age, and that fight was still close.
And
So Jake,
also, let's be real. I mean, Tommy's not like a guy that's probably going to take on a bunch of other guys before that fight. He's probably just going to chill.
yeah,
He has
he
a new
doesn't need
kid,
to.
I mean, he'll probably chill. And also, um, his older brother's going to be training for Usyk and they're going to be fighting.
More,
And that's
yeah.
a big fight. And Tommy's probably going to be getting behind Fury to help him train and just
Mhm.
be there to support him and go away,
He has a
to
baby
Fury's
now.
camp. What's up?
He's a baby now too.
He has a baby. Yeah, exactly. And, I think that He's going to spend time with Fury and help him with his camp and spend time with his baby. He says he wants to be a world champion, and who knows, maybe a Fury win over Usyk will motivate him to fight another guy, but I don't think he'll fight Jake Paul next. So we'll see. What are some other interesting fights for a guy like Jake? You know, maybe Diaz, but again, he won't
Diaz
get
doesn't make
respect for that.
sense now, though. I don't think it does make that much sense because, again, like you said, like
Connor wants to fight Diaz. Did you see that interview?
yeah,
Did you see
and I
Connor
think it's
talking
gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen.
in the UFC? You think Diaz
I
comes
think it's
back, huh?
gonna happen. Yeah, I think
Do you think Connor takes on Diaz if he loses or only if he wins?
that's the situation. Like I don't necessarily know if it really has to do with becoming a champ for Connor. Like I don't know if Connor cares that much to become a champ anymore. But again, he wouldn't really fight Chandler if he didn't, though. So what if Connor? But like, how is he gonna fight someone at 170? That's what I don't understand, though. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
the thing is, we all know that guys at 170 get undeserved title shots. Imagine this, bro. Imagine this. Imagine the horror. Imagine that Leon Edwards fights Colby. He fights Masvidal. He fights Connor, and Shavkat just wastes his
or
prime.
Bilal, or Bilal.
No, but yeah, Bilal or Shavkat waste their prime. That's the fucking nightmare. But um, listen, if Connor gets a win over Chandler, they'll give him a title shot. I already
So
know it.
bullshit. Like, champ, like at
It
least give him
is, dude.
a 55 title shot. You know what I mean? At least give him a
Yeah,
title shot at 55 against Islam. Like I think he's got a better chance of beating Islam than Leon. Am
I
I am
don't.
I, am I crazy for thinking that? Like
Yes, dude, you're crazy for thinking that. I think that okay, fine. I see what you're saying. Like
you know,
I understand that, but I think it's crazy to think that Connor has a chance against either of them is what I'm saying.
he has no chance against either of them, but I think Islam's bigger. No, I mean sorry, Leon's bigger.
And he's striking, you
Leon
know. But Leon could just drown Connor and choke him out.
Leon could also grapple too. Like
Exactly.
Leon could take people down too. Like
He
I
did that
think
to RDA, he did that to Diaz, bro.
he's way better than Islam on the feet. You know what I mean? Islam
Yeah.
got dropped by a 45er. Like I know it's Volk, but still
Yeah.
like he got dropped by 45er. He couldn't do that much to 45er. Like I know it's Volk, but still like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like Leon's a lot bigger. So I think Leon would be a tougher fight for Connor anyways. I don't think he has a chance against either of them. I think he's got a 0% chance against either guy. But I
Do you
think
think that Connor, you know, what are his chances against Chandler now that we're getting closer to
oh
that?
you know what? I actually do think Connor wins.
Okay, you're still going for
I think
Connor.
Connor wins. It's just because it's no IQ Chandler. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
nothing more than that. Like I just feel like Chandler
scares
will
me.
find a way to screw it up. I could just see that. You know what I mean? Like you can't pick Chandler in fights. It's like how you can't pick against
Especially if Connor's on gear and he can take a bigger
oh
shot
dude,
because his
Connor's
head's
on
bigger.
gear. Like dude, and I just think Chandler's gonna care more about making it interesting, like more entertaining than winning. You know, and I think that feeds right into Connor's benefits. You know, like if these guys are striking, Connor is a way better striker than Chandler. I know Chandler's
Nah,
got tons of,
I don't think he's a
Chandler's got
way better
power,
striker at this point.
but Connor's quicker. He's gonna be quicker than Chandler.
Chandler is so much faster than Connor is when the fight starts. All I'm saying is this: Chandler is fast as fuck when the fight starts.
He is.
Nobody is more explosive than him in that division.
He is, but I think he's so hittable though. Like what if he
But
swings
the issue is when Chandler comes forward, you
do
can't
anything?
bang with him, dude. You can't. Not in the first 3 minutes, at least. In the first 3 minutes, nobody is going forward on Michael Chandler. Connor said in an interview on the Mac Life, or it was not the Mac Life. I think it was someone else.
Yeah,
He
he's gonna
said
go.
he said Chandler's going to try to back me up. No man has ever put me on the back foot. I think that Chandler's putting him on the back foot, and I think he's knocking him out right then and there because Chandler put Poirier on the back foot. He put Gagey on the back foot. Connor's going to try to come out and fight Chandler, and I feel like Chandler's mistake against Tony was that he was like sitting on the outside. I think he's going to go in there and blitz him, bro, and just knock him out. I think Connor will not be able to take damage anymore, and it's not even because his chin only. It's just because
Doesn't
he's
have the
falling
motivation.
apart, man, and he doesn't have the tough mentality. He's waking up in silk sheets, and Michael Chandler is he and I keep saying this. He destroyed Poirier in the first round
Other than
until the
maybe
last 30 seconds. He beat Gagey for the majority of the first round too, or at least he contended with him. He didn't necessarily beat Gagey, and then he beat Poirier in the second. I don't think he's gonna wrestle Conor. I mean, like low IQ Mike, obviously, but I just think he's gonna. What happens when Conor takes two big right hands? Chandler cracks his legs. How does Conor look? Conor's gonna be like, shelling up, like, and he's gonna quit. That's what I think.
Dude, I also think that like saw against Poirier, like Chandler could be up the whole first round, and
Yeah,
Conor could drop him.
that's
He
true.
could
That's
drop
that's
him.
the truth.
He could
But
knock him
Poirier's
out.
got a chin like no other at this point.
But again, though, is like Conor is has more power than Poirier, in my opinion. Is
Yeah, I
that
agree.
he's has more power. He's more creative. Like this is not stuff that you lose from taking. I think the stuff
No, the power you don't lose.
the stuff that Conor would lose is like the thing about Conor. Like this is the concerns with Conor is like his motivation. And I mean, like if he gets hit once, is he just going to be like, all right, I can go home. I have a lot of money. I just made a lot of
That's what I
money.
think.
That's the biggest concern. Like I don't necessarily think his body is like broken down. I don't think he's like awful now. Like I think that's just like the biggest thing. But I think like at the same time though is like Chandler is so hittable. He even got dropped by Tony, a guy like we saw how bad Tony was against Nate Diaz. Like he got
Yeah.
dropped by Tony. Like if Tony can drop him and
But
Chandler's
that's
not
also Tony before getting chinned.
but again, it's still Tony
And
off
and
three
Beneil
losses.
and Charles didn't fight Tony on the feet too. So like technically it was Tony striking for the first time since Gagey, which Gagey beat him up, but
But Gaethje took his soul too.
yeah.
Like it's not just it wasn't just Chandler who took his soul.
Yeah, Chandler also has a low. Like, I think the IQ is the same for Chandler. He's just so dumb when he fights.
Yeah, and I also think he gets dropped in all of his fights. Like he's gotten dropped in his last four fights, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
his
mean
last
he
four
got dropped
fights.
against Gagey, he got dropped against Poirier, he got dropped against
Charles.
Tony, and against Charles. Yeah,
So he's gotten dropped in his last four fights. Like you
yeah,
got to think about that. Like it's like Charles too. It's like Charles against Beneil. Like
yeah.
there's there's a high chance that these guys are getting dropped. Like you know what I mean? Like
That's what I
Beneil,
think. I just think that like I don't know if Conor can survive the onslaught. I
the
think
first
I think
minute.
like we've seen other guys break their leg and have it snap, and Anderson Silva went like 1-6 after that.
Yeah, but again, Anderson Silva, like Conor, they did whatever it takes to get him recovered. They let him get out of the USADA pool.
They did that with Silva, but Silva never won again.
But
And
again,
he was a if anything, better all time than Conor. And of
he
course he
was
was a
better
little
all
older,
time.
but Connor's old too. Connor's 34, 35 almost.
But I mean, Silva fought a lot more. Silva got
True.
finished more. Like you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit, but
Well, Silva was only finished once, and so was Conor was finished
no. Silva was
multiple
finished
times.
twice. Oh no, because yeah,
Connor's
you're
been
right.
submitted twice, and he's
Yeah.
got knocked out.
But I also think Conor hasn't fought that many fights in the UFC compared to Silva. Like
True.
Silva had that whole title reign where he won 16 fights in a row. Like
Yeah.
that's 16 fights. Conor, I don't even think he's had 16 fights in the UFC, has he?
No.
No, so like he hasn't fought that much. I think nowadays the steroids and stuff like that are better. You know what I mean? Like so I think he's getting top of the line shit. And I think
Yeah,
he's
he probably has a good team around him.
yeah.
I think the only chance for Conor is if he's truly on sauce.
I
That's what
mean,
I'm gonna say.
he's going to be on sauce. Like
You
there's
think
no
they're gonna let him
oh
juice
dude,
for the fight? Like
it's
I
gonna
understand that you can get around it sometimes, but do you think that
I think
USADA is actually just gonna let him do whatever?
I
I don't
think
think
what's
they will.
I think what's gonna happen is I think it's gonna be I mean they only he accidentally I don't know if you saw the interview with Ariel Hawani. He accidentally said that he needs to get 2 clean tests before the fight, and then they removed that part after.
Yeah.
So he needs to only get 2 clean tests, and he's able to
But then
fight.
USADA came out and said something like along the lines of, "We never said that."
That's those they work for the UFC.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Well,
there's
so
a
let me ask you. Okay, let's just assume Conor, looks all right. Well, I mean, I just can't picture. He didn't look good against Poirier in the rematch. Like he looked okay, but
wait, the
I mean,
second or
people
third
say
fight.
Conor was looking good. Like he got KO'd in the second round. Since
But
when is that
he
good?
was winning that fight until he wasn't, though.
But my point is, until he wasn't was basically the second round. And who else is Poirier finished within 2 rounds? Like Dan Hooker went to 5 rounds. Justin Gaethje went 4. Like
That's
guys
big.
that are fighting Dustin, Michael Chandler didn't get finished within 2. I mean, like Connor has not been looking good at all.
Yeah, I also
And
don't.
then he broke it. He couldn't even make it to the second round in their in their third fight.
The third fight was a bit different, in my opinion. Like, I think Connor, I mean, like, that was not a real. It's hard to say that was a real clear win for Poirier.
Yes, that's true. But at the same time, Connor's leg, people act like it was random. His
I
leg
mean, he
got
came in
destroyed six
injured.
months earlier.
He came in very injured though into that fight. He said
That's the issue with Connor, man. The guy had an injury that could fuck his career up forever, and I think it is. I think it's going to destroy his career unless he fights Diaz, who doesn't hit people with low kicks. Unless he fights a guy that's not going to kick him, I really think he's screwed. And Chandler has some heavy leg kicks. He really does. He has some good leg kicks,
but
and he's
again,
going to be
like,
targeting the leg.
also Chandler's getting older though. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, he took a ton of damage. He's taken so much damage in his fights, and he's low IQ. I can't see low IQ Mike doing the right thing and just like getting a good finish. Like, I just can't. I don't know. I can't see him doing it. I think if Connor weathers the
I
storm.
think low IQ Mike has the fucking okay. Obviously, Michael Chandler. Okay, let's just be real. He has the skills to be a dominant champion.
Of course,
He did, but he's so stupid.
but he's also very chinny.
And he's a little chinny, of course.
He's
Okay,
36.
so you're banking on Connor. Okay, if Connor
I'm banking
wins,
on low
do you,
IQ
do you
Mike
think
doing
he's
something to
going
screw
to
him.
go through the fire? Or do you think he'll like dance around Chandler like people were expecting him to do to Poirier in the rematch? Because I was expecting Connor to literally put on a masterpiece against Poirier, and he got in a scrap, and Poirier outdid him. And the thing is, yeah, Connor and Poirier and Chandler are different, but like Poirier also doesn't mind sitting back and like easing into the fight. He can be a little bit of a slow starter. I just think Connor's gonna have to deal with Chandler going crazy on him. And do you think he gets past that? Do you think he can take those
Yeah.
big shots? That's my question. He
I
might.
think that's a huge question though, and like it's kind of hard to say because I think with Poirier it was a bit different. Poirier wasn't one shot. He when Poirier hurts you, he's the best at finishing you. One of the best in the UFC at finishing you. And I think Poirier hurt Connor and just went at him and just like finished him. You know, I mean, I don't necessarily know if a one shot will knock out Connor. Like, I think Connor's a tough guy. He's got a good chin. You know, he does have a good chin in general. And I think he could weather the storm. And I think he could. Chandler, like we said, like there's a real high chance Chandler gets dropped. He's gotten dropped his last 4 fights. That like the chance of it happening again is very high. You know, I mean, just like Benio and Charles. And yeah, I think low IQ Mike figure out a way to lose.
That's
That's
how
kind of
I'm gonna refer to him. I'm never saying Chandler again. I'm gonna just
low
say
IQ
low
Mike.
IQ Mike.
That
Yeah.
like, it's so hard to pick on Michael.
But
Mike
what would
Chandler.
Connor's name be? It'd be like,
So
he's like a pirate with a wooden leg. Wooden leg
so,
Connor
so
or
yeah, but
Connor the pirate. I have to come up with a nickname, a Colby
Joe
Covington-esque
Cheats.
nickname.
Yeah, I don't know what Connor's. Yeah, I don't know, but I think like you just can't cut on Michael Chandler. I think that's what it comes down to. You just can't.
Yeah,
There's a reason they picked Michael Chandler as an opponent. You know, like
you can never count on him.
I wanted to pick Chandler against Gaethje.
Yeah.
He screwed that up. I picked Chandler against Tony, so he won.
It's
I mean, Tony
yeah.
Ferguson.
It's crazy
I,
that like Chandler is such a wild card because just his skills are alone to dominate like an older Connor. But
like
like
remember with Poirier, we were like so like confused with that pick because we were like, Chandler could win this fight.
I
He
know.
could like
And he
wrestle.
was yeah.
He was doing great, but he managed to screw it up. And I just like,
And that was in the grappling too. Like he picked Poirier up, slammed him to try to be flashy, like a fucking idiot. Like he was really trying to go out there and just put on a fucking clinic with his wrestling slams. Like he was fucking fighting like it was a circus. And Poirier, Chandler gassed himself out with a throw, and Poirier got his neck. And it's just I don't know, man. Chandler could have just taken Poirier down and just stayed on top of him the whole round.
But I also think now that this fight's an even bigger fight, so I think Chandler's gonna get a little bit more excited too, and I think he's just gonna be stupid. And I think Connor's just gonna beat him.
I'd love to see Connor spar. I mean, obviously, I probably won't, but I'd love to see some footage of how he looks, and I'd love to see him take some kicks. But Yeah.
I just, it's so hard to bet on Chandler. I think that's what it kind of comes down to. There's a reason why they picked Chandler as an opponent. He's gotten dropped in his last 4 fights. He's getting older, taking so much damage. Low IQ Mike. Like this is like, I feel like this is like the perfect matchup for him. You know what I mean? I don't. By the way, after seeing the other night, there's no way Connor beats Gaethje. No
No, I
way.
don't think so.
No freaking way. So when we were suggesting maybe that's a fight because Gaethje gets hit. No, that Gaethje would fucking smoke him. By the way, but Chandler, I mean, just low IQ. I can't see it happening. I really can't. And I think what could happen is I think Connor could beat Chandler, fight for the belt, and then they do the Diaz fight. But
Yeah.
or if he loses, they can do the Diaz fight too.
But it'll be in 2025. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
because
Connor is
Connor's
like,
going to take a lot of time off if he loses. It's
yep.
unfortunate, but and then again, how old would Diaz be at that point? You're going to have like two, nearly like if Connor was like nearly 40 years old and Diaz, who is 40 years old, fighting a main event on a UFC. Like, what does this become? Like the retirement home? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a retirement home fighting. Like, it's just like, yeah, I don't
I
know.
will say though, this is going to be probably the biggest year the UFC's had ever. I mean, because maybe
I don't
not
know
the
about
biggest
ever,
year
but in a
ever
very long time
in a
since
long
Connor.
time. Yeah. Since like
But
2016.
but again, 2021, there's 2 fights with Connor, and he both sold over 1 million both fights.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really say it's bigger, but I think this is the biggest
But
year.
with Jones coming back, fighting twice, and Connor then
But how
fighting
much
and
is
having
Jones going to
having Tough
sell?
as well. Connor on Tough, that's big.
That's going to sell 2 million, by the way.
I think Connor. You think Jones is going to sell 2 mil
No,
or
I think
Connor?
Connor versus
Yeah.
Chandler's going to sell 2 mil.
I think it might as well, because more fans have been watching the sport than ever, and every year that goes by, the sport's bigger. And I mean, I can't wait for Tough. I think it starts in May, so I'm gonna be
They
so
finished
excited to
filming
watch
and
it.
ready. They
Yeah,
said they
they're
finished.
done. They did it quickly. I
Oh,
expected
it's
it to be
three
like two
weeks.
months.
3 weeks.
Jesus, how did they fight so much in 3 weeks? Because I
You know
feel
what
like
I
those
think it
don't those
was?
guys fight multiple times?
You know what I think it was? I think Connor said he didn't have that much time. I think that's what it really was.
So
And
it's
they're
gonna be
probably,
like a lackluster show.
I mean, what else? Why do you think else do you think it'd be that short? You know, what I mean, I feel like it had to been because of Connor. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean, because Connor does a lot of shit. You know, what I mean, so I bet that's why. But like, what are you doing? Yeah, you're right. Like, how did these guys fight multiple times in 3 weeks? Like, you know, like, that's it's not good. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I'm definitely gonna be watching it. I'm super excited for this fight. You know, I don't know. They're saying that it may be at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, which would be
that would be
crazy.
sick.
Or at the Legion Stadium, which is where the Raiders play. They're saying it's too big for T-Mobile, so
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. I think they'll still do it at like a T-Mobile or something. I think that's like a bit like I think that's a bit cap. You know what I mean? Like I think they could probably do well at one of those arenas, but I think that the price of that would be a lot more. And I think the UFC are just going to do it at the usual T-Mobile arena. Well, I don't know why they don't have Connor fight in Ireland at some point. Like I like that's what kind of doesn't make sense to me. Like I mean, I know he fought early on in his career, but imagine Connor in Ireland. Like that would be like
yeah.
amazing. You know, so I don't know. I think Connor's gonna get the win. I'm excited. Jones is gonna fight Stipe. I think that pay per view's gonna do well. Jones versus Stipe. How well do you think that does?
I think that'll probably sell 1 million if they put
You think it
Volk
sells a
on as well.
million?
Oh yeah, and this is why.
Wow.
If they do 3 title fights, imagine this. Imagine Chimaev feature fight,
Mm,
Volk, Yair, co-main, and Volk biggest he's ever been. And of course, Jones and Miocic. That sells 1 million. It
wow.
has to. I mean, like there's Chimaev, the UFC, they're itching to get Chimaev back. It's July. That'll be perfect timing for him. Chimaev and Whitaker, Chimaev, Cannonier, you name it, and Volk co-main. They'll also have like other big fights as well. They might do Patty, of course, if they're not going to the UK. Like, it's going to be a really, really big card. I know they're saying they want Volk on 290, so Volk is going to be the
Yeah.
co-main. So I
Just gonna
think
be
that yeah,
whoever
that's a 1 million seller.
I just don't know if Miocic has that value anymore.
But
And I
it's Jones
but I
and
also think
it's
Jones,
it's it's
the
Volk.
reason Jones had so much value is because I think he hasn't fought in 3 years. And I think everyone was itching to see what happened. And I think
Maybe
now,
800K.
yeah, but I mean, I think like you need to put a good feature fight like a Chimaev or something,
Yeah.
or like a fucking Shavkat, not Shavkat, because people don't really know him like that. Poirier versus Gaethje.
Yeah.
Poirier versus Gaethje is the featured fight, and that does a million. Because
Yeah.
people know Poirier and people know Gaethje.
But I don't
But
think they'll make that fight so soon because,
yeah,
March, April, Gagey is going to want to fight in the fall. We know
yeah,
Gagey.
yeah. Maybe he'll want to fight in Abu Dhabi
Yeah.
as the co-main for Islam versus Volk. No,
That'd be that'd be
or
that'd be good
Volk or
timing.
Benil.
Yeah.
But I want to say one more thing before we call it. Who do you want? What do you think the right matchup for it at middleweight is for Khamzat? Because we
Or
were
imagine
always
this,
thinking
Leon Edwards on the same card as Jones and Volk. That sells a million. And
100%. That's
Colby.
just 1.1.
That's if the UFC wants to go fucking for real,
They
that's
do
what they
that.
do.
That would be ridiculous.
3 title fights, 145. Because here's the thing about Volk. You don't have to worry about him if he stays champion because he'll still fight in the fall. So that's another, potential main event in the future. And you have Colby Leon.
Oof.
Imagine they're not going to do Colby on the same card as Jones because they don't want money. But if they want fucking real money, they'll put Jones and Colby on the same stage because they'll go at each other big time.
That does 1.2 million.
That would be the most chaotic event ever.
You put
Colby
Paulo
would be
Costa strong
Colby would be
Strickland
shitting on Volk. He'd be shitting on that would be the best press conference of all time, maybe.
Yeah, and you could
Throw
put
Strickland in on there
Strickland
and
Costa.
Costa.
Ooh,
But the UFC could do this, Jacob. They just
could.
they're missing out.
Stupid. It's
Yeah.
really stupid. I want to see. Yeah, I don't know. They're missing out for sure. But what do you think is that? Who do you want to see comes out fight at middleweight? Because we were saying Robert Whitaker for the longest time. That was the rumor, all that stuff. But why don't you just take a fight against a Jared Cannonier? He's a guy who's in the top 3 of the division. He's 37 years old. I'm sure the UFC would love to get him out of the top of the division.
And
I
if you
think
beat him, you
Robert
get a
Whitaker,
title shot because Cannonier is coming off of a win after
yeah,
getting
you'd get a
after
title
getting a
shot.
title
I
shot.
want to see Robert Whitaker get the next title shot in general. I think that's makes the most sense. You know what I mean? Like I think whoever wins,
I think so too. They should do Whitaker versus Pereira, and then Hamzat fights that winner after beating
yeah, you
Cannonier.
could put that as the co-main.
Hey, if
Like,
the UFC, I'm gonna go crazy if they do this. If the UFC does John Jones, Stipe Miocic, Volk Yair, Colby, Leon, Cannonier, Hamzat, they will literally break the internet. I might die of a
that
heart
does,
attack just by
yeah,
seeing that card.
yeah. But I
The
do.
chances of them doing that are zero, by the way. The
I
best
I
we get
would.
is Volk on the same card, and that's it. But
I,
yeah,
I think the UFC could do Pereira versus Whitaker as the main event, Cannonier versus Khamzat as the co-main event.
that would
That
be
would,
smart for them to spread it out. That's probably what
yeah,
they'll do.
that'd be a great thing. I
But
don't.
Pereira's not going to turn around that quickly after fighting Izzy after
But
his
again,
weight
you got
cut.
to remember, Hamza said he may not want to fight till after Ramadan.
Yeah, but that'll be over in the late spring. Apparently, I didn't know this until recently, but apparently Ramadan's because I'm not Muslim, but apparently
Yeah.
Ramadan's over in the late spring, so he'll be good
But
to fight in
maybe
July.
you want to start at training, have a few weeks, and then start at training camp. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
even September. I
yeah.
think September's enough time for Pereira. No, I
I
think
think
September,
I think September might be, but yeah,
you could do
you
September.
could do Pereira and Whitaker,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think this is what I'm saying. This could be the biggest year, the best year.
But again, like it's just crazy to think because before the year we were like Hamzat's for sure going to be the champ. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like then now he's kind of getting screwed still. He's continuing to get screwed. But
yeah.
I want to see him fight Cannonier. I don't want to see Whitaker yet. I mean, I think that's like would be stupid for him. You know what I mean? Like
But he'll have to fight Whitaker if Whitaker beats Pereira.
oh, of
We're
course.
gonna
I
see
mean,
it. We're gonna see that. We're 100% gonna see
I
that
don't
match.
want to see that right away though. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I mean?
agree.
I think it's foolish. He's never fought in a top guy at middleweight yet. So maybe put him against the worst of the top guys who's like still like up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So just get just get used to it a bit. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and I don't think the UFC like they obviously don't love Cannonier. You know what I mean? Like they obviously aren't like they'd want this guy to get out of the top of the division because he's 37. You know what I mean? He doesn't add much value. And if he gets another win, like there's a real argument for him to be getting a title shot. And you just do not want that anymore. So I think you put Hamzat against Cannonier. He's not a great wrestler either, Cannonier. I think Hamzat handles him easily. I think first round finish, probably, if not the first 3 rounds for sure. You have Whitaker fight the winner of Adesanya Pereira. You put Rob, you let Rob goes to Miami, who can get in the cage with Pereira after Pereira wins. And we can see that matchup. I'm excited
He's
for
not
that.
going to Miami.
He should though.
Yeah, but that's such a long flight. I don't
Yeah.
think it's gonna happen unless he wants to go
Well,
on a vacation. But
yeah, but dude, that match, I would love to see that fight though. Pereira, no, Adesanya versus no, sorry, Whitaker versus Pereira.
yeah, I would not want to see Adesanya Whitaker.
No,
I'm
no.
just not interested.
Also, I especially as Adesanya as a champion too would be even worse because they would give him the benefit of doubt.
But I wouldn't
Also,
mind if Izzy becomes champ again, just because him and Hamzat is very
easy.
exciting.
But again, though, is like who I don't want to see Hamza versus Whitaker. I'm sorry. I
But
like
but
both
you
these guys.
would want to see Hamzat versus Izzy.
I would, and it just. But again, like I don't want to see Hamza. I do want to see Hamza versus Whitaker, but I don't because I
You're
like both those
scared.
guys.
That's why you're a fan of Hamzat. You don't want to see him lose, but you know that they'll fight. You just want to like.
I mean,
But
dude,
here's
like
the thing, dude. Whether if Pereira wins, you're still seeing that matchup. If Pereira loses, Hamzat's beating Izzy and getting the title, and Whitaker will fight him. He's gonna have to fight Whitaker eventually, and
yeah.
it'll probably be within his next two fights. He'll be fighting maybe three. If Adesanya wins, he'll probably fight Whitaker for his third fight at 185. He will fight Whitaker. He'll
But
not
what
get
if
away from
Whitaker
that.
gets knocked out by Pereira?
Well, then yeah, we won't see it, but
So I
I
think
doubt
that
that's gonna happen, man.
I think Adesanya. I think Pereira is a better chance of beating Adesanya than being Pereira.
Yeah,
That's what I think though. So I think if Pereira beats Adesanya, which we all think he will, I think he's got a real chance against Robert Whitaker. I think that's a very hard fight to predict. I think obviously like
I
just from
think
the looks,
Whitaker just takes him down,
just
dunks him
from
on
the
his
looks
head,
of
and
it,
submits him.
like Whitaker looks like the guy who's gonna win, but at the same time, like he doesn't throw much submissions ever, like stuff like that, and like every fight starts at the
Neither does Izzy, and Izzy was beating his ass on the ground.
but again, it
That's
also
pretty
yeah,
pathetic for
that
a
is
guy that's going to fight Robert Whitaker, who stuffed takedowns from Yoel and has a really good high caliber wrestling.
that is pathetic. But again, I think he's getting better though, and I think on the ground, I think he also I think he engaged in that, which was stupid. So yeah, I don't know. I think I think that's a close fight. From the looks of it, Pereira seems like he's gonna lose. It's like a Robert Whitaker, but who knows? That left hand is just
If
that
he can
left.
KO Adesanya with ease in this next fight, then I'll definitely consider
Yeah,
it. But
dude.
if
If
he
you
takes
can,
like again, if he doesn't land, if he lands a left hook and the first one knocks Adesanya out, then it's possible, because I don't know.
Whitaker's
I feel
pretty
like
chicken.
Whitaker's very smart, and
He is,
he's the
but
best
again,
middleweight right now, in my opinion.
he's gonna have a hard time getting in on Pereira. You know what I mean? And that's how he's
Yeah,
gonna.
that's the dangerous part.
Like you can't just rest. Like you can't only wrestle. Like you can't go out there and just try. That's all you could try to do is wrestle. Like no matter who you're going against, you can't just. You have to show something else too. You know what I mean? Even
I think
against.
he makes it look like Jones and Cyril Gahn.
Oh shit!
I think
Really?
I think he throws a couple leg kicks and then goes in on him, takes him down easily, and then submits him.
Jeez. You
That's
really
what I think. I
think
think
that
once
easy?
Pereira hits the mat with Whitaker, from what I've seen, unless he's completely leveled up, he's gonna lose on the ground. He's gonna get
Shit.
finished. That's what I think.
So you think with that easy?
Pereira is a guy that has no grappling, as it seems. Like he just does not have good grappling. He does not have good takedown defense. He lost the first round of his first fight against a guy that is like a tenth of the wrestler grappler that
Yeah.
Whitaker is, and he looked like shit on the ground with Izzy, and that's Izzy, man. Like
Yeah.
that's like seeing Sean O'Malley like beat the shit out of someone on the ground. I mean, like we just
Even
don't really
worse.
see that.
Even worse.
Even
But
worse.
but we got to remember though about Izzy too. Like he had a similar background to Pereira, and he was able to improve his takedown defense a lot. Like
Yeah, but
Pereira,
his takedown defense was solid when he came in the UFC.
yeah, that's fair. But I don't know. I think Pereira definitely does have a chance against Whitaker.
And he was young when he came in the UFC.
That
Pereira's
is true.
old. You
Yeah,
can't teach
Pereira
a
is
dog
old.
new tricks all the time.
Yeah, but Pereira is also stronger than Izzy though.
I don't think that matters when you have a guy as skilled as Whitaker. Like it's wrestling is a skill thing. Once you listen, if Pereira has decent takedown defense, it's the strength matters. Like imagine like imagine Francis Ngannou that never wrestled. He's gonna get taken down. Francis Ngannou got destroyed by Stipe for a reason. Like I really think
First time.
it's that fight over again. It's Stipe with good striking, one of the better strikers in the heavyweight division. You don't want to stand with Francis for too long. And it's Robert Whittaker as Stipe. But this time, Whittaker is the one who's going to wrestle. And I think that Francis Ngannou is just, I think Stipe's
gonna win.
I think it's going to be like that first fight with Stipe and Ngannou, where Whittaker just wrestles him the whole time and dominates him, or just submits him early. Rear naked choke. Whittaker's always posting about him training his jiu-jitsu, and like, I trust Whittaker as a black belt more than I do Pereira as a black belt. Pereira got his brown belt. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't know. I think he does have a real chance though, Pereira. I think he's got a real chance to KO him though. So I mean, I think Khamzat versus Whittaker, that's a tough fight for Khamzat. Real tough. I mean, it's a tough fight for Whittaker too, obviously.
Yeah, it's a tough fight for both of them, but
both guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most 50-50 fight in the UFC today. Completely, 100%. There's not one fight that's more 50-50 than that. So I don't know if you do it right away for Khamzat. Like, I think that's too big of a jump up, in my opinion. Like, Cannonier, I mean, Khamzat's going to kill Cannonier, no?
Yeah, he probably will. But if he struggles, it's looking. But I think so.
He'll probably kill Cannonier. I think Cannonier is not that good. I mean, he's not going to fight Vettori. Vettori is his
Cannonier's an old middleweight. He'll destroy Cannonier.
Yeah, Cannonier's an old middleweight.
I think Khamzat beats every other middleweight aside from Whittaker. I think Whittaker's the one guy I'd pick. But other than that, I can't see Khamzat beating anyone. I can't see Khamzat losing to anyone.
Damn. So, I mean, you don't.
And right now, I don't know, man. Maybe Khamzat can take. Who has a decent path to a belt, by the way? Jan Blachowicz at 205. I feel like Jan Blachowicz would beat Jamal Hill.
Ooh,
I think he'd win against Jamal Hill if they fought.
That's a Yuri.
Yeah. I think that Yuri would have a much harder fight. I think Jan would shut him down. That's what I think.
So, but Jan's going to have to beat Magomed probably, no?
Yeah, he'd have to beat another guy. I mean, there's a lot of good fights coming up. I think the UFC this year is just looking really good overall. So I'm just so excited for the fights that we have, so yeah.
I mean, I hope there's some movement in the 205 division, because I feel like we haven't heard anything in that division for a very long time. So I'm hoping that we hear something soon, like maybe a Rakic return.
Well, Anthony Smith is a big fight coming up. All eyes are going to be on that. The whole world's going to be watching, and yeah. Anthony Smith, that's a future title challenger right there.
When's that fight?
I think it's going to be within the next couple months.
Damn. I think Johnny Walker's going to beat him, by the way.
Yeah, I think Johnny Walker definitely has a good chance. I think it's a 50-50 fight.
But yeah, no, I think it's a good time to call it, talked a lot about Khamzat, some good discussion, stuff like that. So yeah, it was a great podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Till next time.